you have to do something that makes you better than everyone else so that you can put that on your resume and you can say, this is why you should look at me, this is why I'm the best, and this is why I'm the best candidate for your school or your job or whatever you want me to do. This is what sets me apart.
I took Adderall for the first time my freshman year during finals week. This little pill took me from a failing grade to a C in one night.
Getting tests back that were 85s, I'd be worried. So everything that was short of perfect was a failure.
It is super stressful, you know. Most nights I don't start my homework until after midnight, or I'm doing homework for one class while I'm in the middle of doing a show.
Newswatch 16 Tuesday starts right now.
A former New York State Senate leader is guilty on 2 counts of corruption. Good evening and welcome to Newswatch 16. I'm Erin Dunphy.
So I'm the news director at ICTV, which pretty much means I'm here 7 days a week, whether we're airing or not. I'm involved in the church community, Relay for Life, both here and back home, Water for Sudan, help out with Audrey's House, IC Rotaract, and I think that's it. I'm probably missing something. First semester, freshman year, there got to be a point where I would, you know, not go to class because I had to do work for another class, and I would have meetings at the same time, so I'd like have to leave halfway through. And you know, doing that was probably the worst decision I could have made for myself. Emotionally, I was a wreck. I couldn't stop crying. I felt so bad that I had tried to dedicate so much time to all these people and I just couldn't do it, and I couldn't fulfill those commitments. I was making myself sick over these things, and you know, having trouble breathing, and I was creating anxiety attacks for myself. Everything that I was doing was making me sick, and I needed to figure out what was wrong. And it wasn't a physical thing, it was more an emotional and mental thing.
First of all, I want to say involvement is good, and it helps us reach different parts of ourselves, you know. So there's that social part, the intellectual part, the creative part, the analytical part. Involvement becomes unhealthy when we fail to recognize that we can't do it all. If involvement results in a sustained lack or diminished ability to connect with others and engage in those kinds of other things that are enjoyable, you know, affecting sleep and in relationships, that's a good indication that, oh, involvement may be a bit too much. And sometimes perfection is the thing that motivates us to do our very best, but we also need to know when we have done our very best and when it's time to say, okay, I'm not going to reach the ideal, but I've done my best.
Everyone told me, you have to be the best. And it was funny because they would say, don't worry about other people, but you have to be the best. And whether it was said or not, it was an unwritten rule. You're not perfect enough because there's always someone more perfect than you, and there's someone more perfect than them. Stress became sort of a shadow over all of the academics that kept you from performing, that kept you from being able to do it. And it inflated the meaning of everything. So if you were stressed about a project, maybe it seemed twice, 4 times as big. And so you automatically thought, I can't finish this in time. And so if you can't finish it, why bother? There I was, stressed, behind in my work, looking at everyone doing better than me, and never being able to be perfect. I couldn't help but feel depressed. I tried everything I could, but it wasn't good enough, and I just was fed up with all of it. But there was no way out, and there wasn't an option but to fail. So the best way to fail was a nervous breakdown. initially it felt like one of those failures I talked about, because it was, you're not good enough to succeed here. It just wasn't the right place. And it didn't have the same goals. And I found that no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't change it.
I go to a competitive university. I knew what I was getting into when I enrolled, so it's not like I was planning on having my hand held for 4 years. There's an expectation, especially in organizations and like with leadership positions, that if you're not attentive to every single need, that you're not doing a good job. And I wanted to advance. I wanted to hold better and better leadership positions. I felt that the best way I could show that I was ready for these is just to, like I said, constantly be working. A single pill of Adderall that's instant release will keep me very, very productive for 4.5 hours.
But that's not what it should be in the life of a 20-year-old. The 20-year-old should be doing just the opposite. Should be saying, what does it mean that I'm not focusing well? What do I focus well on? So that's what you want to be discovering, not suppressing with these drugs.
I don't have a prescription, so it's illegal for me to be taking these pills. I get them from friends who do have prescriptions, and it's illegal for them to be selling me these pills. I felt that the risks of taking Adderall were far, far outweighed by the benefits. I have no idea how this is going to impact my health and my body 20 years from now. But as far as negative effects right now, there have been so few, and it's honestly helped me on so many different occasions. One of the alternatives to Adderall is over-caffeinating. I have a friend who last week drank 6 Red Bulls to stay up all night. I took 1 pill to stay up all night. With that in mind, I think that occasional use on my part can't possibly have the health effects that it would have on people who take it every single day.
A drug like Adderall, which is nothing more than pure amphetamine, is affecting your brain cells. It's not good for the brain. It impairs your function so that you can focus more narrowly. So a person may think they're doing better in their studies on Adderall or Ritalin, both of which are highly addictive substances. They may think they're doing better, but research isn't going to show that people in general do better in their studies. In fact, people do worse when their brains are impaired.
Some days here, I still feel like, I've taken on too much and I've taken on a lot of things, but I think what it comes down to is the ability of my support system to kind of get me through everything. And first semester freshman year, I didn't have that support system, and I really hadn't figured out my place. My parents, and all my friends here, they're so supportive of like everything I'm doing and really just making sure that I stay okay.
A lot of times friends are fearful of speaking to their friends because they don't want to hurt the relationship, or they might think I might be assuming too much. Fear gets in the way. And if we can contain our own fear and do what I mentioned earlier, stating the observations, expressing your concern, and talking about where help can be found.
Going to counseling was probably the best choice I made for myself and probably everyone who was involved in my life. I don't know, I think I probably would have left Ithaca if I hadn't gone to counseling. We are a society of perfectionists, and it's disturbing. I feel like flaws are the most beautiful thing about a person because flaws are what set us apart.
I hope it's just a college-related thing. At first, it was kind of exciting. It was this like magic pill, and now 4 years later, it's honestly just like a part of my routine. It's like a chore, and I don't really like it. I don't particularly like the way I feel afterwards. So I really hope that I don't have to take it after college. In the real world, I hope to have a job that as soon as I leave my desk or I leave my office, I just put it out of my mind. And in college, it's not that way at all.
So leaving there was, I don't know, more of a success for me. Through my counselor, I had found a positive way to deal with this. Perfect, things don't have to be perfect. You can succeed without being a 100%.